we, since launching in late 2021, already have over 50,000 users who have signed up for our services throughout the course of our existence, which has been very encouraging. Obviously, you guys, members in and of yourselves, are part of the 50,000 group. We have generated about 45 million in top line sales. We've raised $50 million in funding, so we're just about to cross the $100 million mark. That's probably why you've seen us in like Forbes, Time Magazine, Bloomberg TV. We've been all over the place as we rapidly start to become one of the most decorated and one of the fastest growing AI companies in the United States of America in the middle of the AI boom. So we have developed key new AI services that should help take us to, the nth degree. We're seeing this as an opportunity to 100x our business growth and business development. And 100x opportunities, 1000x opportunities, a lot of people don't even get the chance to look at those in their lifetime, let alone participate in one. We wanted you guys to be the first beneficiaries or recipients of the opportunity. So that way you don't, miss out on the next big thing. Obviously, you're here because you're an investor, and everyone wants to know what's the best new technology. Everyone wishes they could go back in time and buy shares of Apple in 1988 or buy shares of Google in the 90s. I think a lot of people here in the coming years are going to wish they could go back in time and buy shares of Trade Algo, but you guys are here right now. So we our share price started out at 25 cents per share in our first round of funding. It moved to $1 in the second round. It now stands in the third round that we're wrapping up here at $2.95. So it's been a 1,200% increase. However, we think that we're about to 10x that 12x with some of the new AI systems that we've built and actually just released as of June the 1st. And that's what we're going to cover here right now. So strap in. We got about a 20-minute presentation lined up for you guys. And then, of course, like I said, we will have the opportunity to do Q&A periods after this. Make sure no stone gets left unturned. But if we want to understand why Trade Algo is such a valuable opportunity, if we want to understand why Trade Algo has been so successful, 50,000 users, right, ignited at the snap of a finger, an entire community, almost $100 million in total revenue and funding, Time Magazine, Forbes, Bloomberg TV. How did we get here so quickly and so fast? And in order to understand that, we have to understand the way the world is fundamentally changing, because as the world changes, new technology comes about that innovates, and it allows, society to progress and move forward and in a very positive manner, right? So we live in the middle of one of the biggest wealth booms in all of human history. Actually, by most measurable statistics, it is the biggest wealth boom in all of human history. So forget ancient Greece or Rome, forget Cleopatra, forget King Solomon, forget all of it. This right here, right now, is the biggest wealth boom in human history. But do you feel like you have been living in the biggest wealth boom of all human history? Does it feel like that? Because in all reality, the wealth gap is just widening. So over the past 30 years, the top 1% have taken advantage of the tools and resources that they had available to them, which retail investors did not. And they have amassed over $100 trillion in wealth. 100 trillion. The top one, there's maybe only a couple thousand people in the top 1%, 100 trillion amongst them. Meanwhile, the bottom 50% of everyone else, according to the Federal Reserve, has gained about 2 to 3 trillion. Which that might sound like a lot, but if you split up 2 to 3 trillion divided by 50 to 100 million people, it's not that much. So the wealth gap is widening. That is due to the top 1% having access to two primary advantages. Number one, access to advanced levels of financial data and resources for their investing, which Trade Algo has helped solve a lot of those problems with our initial product launch of our AI options dark pool service. Again, that's why we had 50,000 users so quickly. But they also, number two, have had access to private equity investing opportunities. So all 100% of billionaires on planet Earth come as a direct result of private equity. Did you know that? That's why a majority of institutional investors' portfolios are where? In private companies in private equity. I was actually just reading on TechCrunch. I wish I could pull up the article. I might be able to later. Amazon just launched a $230 million fund. And guess what they're going to be doing with that? They're going to be investing it all specifically in AI tech companies, AI startup companies, and AI pre-IPOs. So Amazon is about to put $230 million into AI pre-IPOs. A majority of institutions' holding is in private equity. There's a very common moniker: if you want to make money, follow the money. $100 trillion has been made by the top 1%. What are they doing with it? They're putting it in private companies. So when you take a look at your portfolio and your investment strategy, good rule of thumb is to follow the money. There are websites now where you could just follow politicians like Nancy Pelosi into their trades, because everyone knows that the top 1% has better, faster, quicker information. So if you're looking at your portfolio and you're going, man, 100% of my portfolio is in public positions, ETFs, gold, solo equities, REITs, S&P, whatever it may potentially be, well, that's a substantial amount of risk in one asset class, right? So if a majority of institutions, which is the most successful historically for decades and decades and decades in private equity, what percentage of your portfolio is there? The Harvard Endowment Fund, for example, holds over 50% of their entire endowment fund in private equity. So while it might not be about becoming a billionaire for you, and it doesn't have to be, personally, it's not for me. Maybe it is for you, maybe it's not. You're clearly here because as an investor, you're interested in the best possible returns that you can gain access to. It's not about being greedy, but it's about growing your wealth, letting your money work for you, and more importantly, building a legacy for your family, for generations of your family to come, in order to help your community, those sorts of things and those sorts of ordeals. Now, when you make an investment, it's not necessarily about, oh, I want to be a billionaire tomorrow, but if you had the opportunity to take, we're just going to say $100,000 because it's a nice round number, and put it into an opportunity that it could make you a 20% return, or there's an opportunity that could make you a 200% return. Of course, assuming that all things are level and the same, of course you're going to take the one that has the 200% opportunity. The whole point is about accruing wealth and building a legacy. So this is why larger institutions have a majority of their portfolios in private companies. When big tech starts growing very, very fast and looks to go to IPOs, it's a great opportunity to hop in and still be able to make very large, lucrative returns without having to risk public market spaces, their ups and downs on a daily basis, and maybe they succeed, maybe they don't. So pre-IPO investments have the ability to offer returns that far outshine what is available in the stock market. Think about early investments in companies like these. Let's say you had taken $100,000 and invested it into these companies once they went publicly traded. So you could see 6 years ago for Spotify, 5 years ago for Uber, this would be the profit to loss that you would have made putting $100,000 into these, notorious IPOs when they went public. On Coinbase, you would have lost money. On Airbnb, you would have lost money. On DraftKings, that's really not that bad. You could see kind of in the bottom right-hand corner here, $100,000 into $237,000. So not terrible, right? But let's take a look and see what would have happened if you had taken same $100,000 investment into the exact same companies just a few years beforehand when they were pre-IPO, when they were private equity looking to go into their publicly traded offers. Now that starts to look a whole lot different. 1.9 billion in Airbnb, 2.8 billion in Etsy. The worst return on the list is Spotify at 57 million. I don't think anybody here would be complaining if they picked no other company except Spotify and they only made $57 million in 4 to 5 years on one small investment, right? So this is how the $100 trillion wealth gap mostly happens. This is how the top 1% stays on top, and this is how legacies are built. life-changing opportunities that you can't find in other investment classes. Name me the last time someone, bought a pound of gold and then, sold it for $1 billion, even 100 years later, let alone 3 to 4 years later. Name me a time that someone bought a house for $1 million that they ended up flipping for $1 billion 3 years later. Name me a time someone bought a publicly traded stock for $100,000, they flipped for $1 billion 3 years later. So this is why you're here today. You're smart enough to see and savvy enough to see that the future is in AI. And you want to unleash the power of AI investing and participate in the super cycle before it's too late. Because a lot of times what happens is companies become massively valued companies in private markets, and they go to a huge IPO, and by then it's too late for everybody else. So you're wanting to participate while you're still able to get in early. I was just looking up the other day on our own system, TradeGPT. I should pull up the prompt here. I'll try to a little bit later, but I was saying, what are the top companies, NVIDIA, Oracle, Google, Microsoft, Apple, what have they been investing into artificial intelligence? Amazon as of recent. Every single one of those companies that I just mentioned, all of the major FANG companies, Oracle, some of the other major ones, all of them have invested at minimum $3 billion into artificial intelligence. And then a lot of solo CEOs of those organizations or former CEOs, Elon Musk, Jeff Bezos, Bill Gates, all of them have invested at least $1 billion of their own dollars into AI pre-IPOs and into artificial intelligence. So we all know where the world is headed. We all know where the major returns will be. But now it's kind of time to get down to brass tacks. The world's changing. Everyone knows that private markets are the new public markets and have the best opportunities available. You have a unique, but it is a narrow and closing window of opportunity to participate before it's too late. And let me explain to you what I mean by that. TradeAlgo has already helped pioneer the booming financial generative AI industry. We have become a $375 million company in 2 years flat. Our company grew 288,000% recently. That's more than this little known company, maybe you've heard of them, maybe you haven't, Google did in their first years in business. And it's caused the price of our share to skyrocket. So if you want to talk about different investment classes and what their returns have the ability to offer, let's take a look at over the past 2 years. If you had invested in any of these typical asset classes, Bitcoin, NVIDIA, the S&P, bonds, real estate, gold, ETFs, I think I actually already mentioned ETFs, but you could take a look at that chart. You'll see 100,000 starting capital again. I usually just use that because it's pretty easy to do math and numbers off of 100,000. It's easy to work with. But you could see that in a lot of these cases, with the exception of Bitcoin and NVIDIA, you would actually be losing money to inflation. Inflation recently, especially after COVID, has been about anywhere from 10 to 16% per year. A lot of these investment classes are doing anywhere from about 3 to 6% per year. So it looks like you're making money, but the purchase power of your dollar is declining so significantly that you're actually losing a lot of money in these investments, even though it looks like you're up. Inflation is the secret killer, right, that not a lot of people actually think about in the back of their head. But on Bitcoin and NVIDIA, admittedly, you would have been positive. Now, what would have happened if you had put that same amount of money into TradeAlgo, a fast-growing AI pre-IPO? By September of last year, it would be worth $1.2 million. And guess what? In July, as in 2 to 3 weeks from now, we're going to be reevaluating the company, and that's about to look a lot sweeter. So for those of you who participated in the first round or the second round, it's about to get exponentially better. For those of you who already participated in this round, it's about to get exponentially better. And that is a big reason as to why a lot of people are wanting to make the investment before the new round comes out. Stock price increases, valuation increases. We'll get into why it's increasing here very soon and why this really is just the beginning. I think this like 12x multiple you're seeing right here, I think we're about to 10x a 12x multiple, aka 120x with the new AI services that we're bringing out. And we'll get into that here in just a second. So how has TradeAlgo been able to outperform pretty much every publicly traded investment class by a 3x multiple at minimum? Well, our company's explosive growth. Everyone wants to get in on the newest technology earlier because you can get in at lower share prices. Everyone wishes they had NVIDIA when it was 20 cents, Microsoft when it was $1. Well, we've already generated over $40 million in top line sales. It's actually just shy of 45 million. Money raised, this was 40 million. I mean, this tab was from last month, or maybe it was a month and a half ago. Now money raised is just sitting shy of $50 million. So it's capital is coming in very, very quickly, and I think you can already start to see why. Due to the insane amount of demand that artificial intelligence has had and the success of our services here at Trade Algo, especially in financial markets, we very rapidly had to expand our company. We now have over 200 employees, 5 offices around the world, soon to be 7, over 50,000 users, and a bunch of new freemium users with the launch of our new Trade GPT app each and every day. So we now boast offices. I'm in our New York City headquarters right now. We also have offices in Las Vegas, London, Los Angeles, and Singapore. As of July the 1st, Trade Algo Nashville is opening up. I'm not sure if we have anyone from Tennessee, but if you're close to the area, let me know in the chat, and maybe you can come say hi. We're hopefully going to have a second office in New York City here towards the end of the year, and possibly a Silicon Valley office as well. So this is just the beginning. I know it's hard to believe it gets better than that, but it does. So Trade Algo plans on building many financial AI tools across all layers and verticals for the consumer market. And that's why we want to do a very large unveiling today, and we want to introduce to you a system that can completely change investing in global finance forever. So we want to introduce to you a system called Midas AI. Now, Midas AI, and actually I'm going to do it this way. Hold on. Here we go. Midas AI is the AI for financial investing in financial markets moving forward into the future. I also see that Ron says, so glad you're filling us in on this information. Yeah, absolutely. Of course. We're happy to help, Ron. We want to give people the opportunity to succeed. Our CEO, John Stone, was actually quoted in Time Magazine 2 years ago saying that the whole purpose of what we do is to help, over 100 million people and investors achieve their financial independence. As I mentioned earlier, it's not necessarily about, being a billionaire. That doesn't, it's not what it is for me. Maybe it is for you. Maybe it's not. It's about the wealth gap is a $100 trillion wealth gap. And don't you think that's just a little bit too much? I'm as much of a capitalist as anybody. So it doesn't have anything to do with that. Doesn't everyone in this great country, shouldn't they have the ability to succeed and not worry about what's going to happen in their future, their kids' future, right? With a lot of financial gurus saying that in the next 20 to 30 years, people are going to need between $5 to $10 million to comfortably retire. Not a lot of people are in that space. And the famous moniker, you're not going to retire on your salary, you're going to retire on the investments that you make. So you have to be smart with those. You have to have the right information. You have to have the right resources. And sometimes you have to have the right opportunity. And not a lot of people ever get that. So when the opportunity comes your way, you have to take a hold of it. There's a famous saying, when life gives you lemons, make lemonade. I actually think that that's a total statement of crap, and not because I'm a pessimist. It doesn't have anything to do with that. I don't think life will ever hand you lemons. I don't think that that's ever going to happen. I think that life will plant a lemon tree for you, but I think that you're going to have to walk up and take the lemon yourself, right? So it's there. It will be available, but if you don't take the lemon, somebody else will, and they'll make lemonade with it, right? So life will give you opportunity, but you have to seize the moment. So Jeff said, oh, that's right, Jeff. You're in Nashville. You'll definitely have to come say hi. Eric says nothing in DMV area. To be honest, Eric, I'm not sure what DMV is. Not totally sure. Daughter went to Belmont. Belmont's a great school. Ron, you'll have to stop in and say hi at Trade Algo Nashville. Don't let me get the opportunity. Ed, Ron, well, I'm glad that you guys agree with what I'm saying there, because I definitely live by that statement. And I think it's a good way to look at life. I think if you think when life hands you lemons, make lemonade, it makes you think that life's just going to give you things for free. I think people have to work for it, but you will be given the opportunity. And it's the people who take advantage of the opportunities that will be the most successful. So Midas AI is the next great opportunity. This is why so much capital, like I said, almost $10 million really in just like the past 30 to 45 days has been invested into our company, and it's all because of Midas. So people are wanting to invest in Trade Algo before Midas really kicks off and takes off. And the same reason that everyone wishes they could go back in time and buy shares of Apple in 2007 when only 100 iPhones had flown off the shelf. When everyone wants to go back in time and buy shares of Tesla back in 2010 when only 50 cars had been sold. I think a lot of people are going to wish they could go back in time and buy shares of TradeAlgo when we have only had about 24 investors participate in Midas at this point before it becomes potentially a 10, 50, $100 billion fund that launches TradeAlgo's valuation into a $50, $100 billion plus publicly traded company. So Midas AI is exactly what everyone has always been looking for. And I know that sounds very broad, but I'm going to explain it and you'll know exactly what I mean. Midas AI is complete 100% autonomous investing. So imagine a world where you, right now, Jeff or Ed or Eugene or Eric, you have the ability to put money into Midas. Midas will trade for you and it will pay you what it makes. There you go. Easy as that. So it cost us a lot of money to build. This was by no means inexpensive. It's a very complicated project. We've been working on it for over a year with nearly 24 quantitative AI engineers out in Singapore. But we are very happy to release its successful results, and we're very happy to release Midas AI, the service, as of June the 1st. So Midas AI will literally take the funds you put into it. It will buy and sell stocks at profit. It will do all of the risk management, all of the portfolio management, all of the hedging. It is self-learning and machine learning. So it, on a daily basis, on an hourly basis, on a minute-to-minute basis, is able to change its trading strategy and adapt to new market conditions and environments whenever it needs to. It's able to go long. It's able to go short. It's able to do anything it needs to do to be profitable. You could be on a vacation, you could be working, you could be spending time with your family, and in the background, your money is on autopilot and Midas is trading for you. So we have some great questions coming in. DC, Maryland, Virginia. Oh, gotcha. Yeah, I mean, as TradeAlgo expands, the whole goal is to expand into as many places as possible. Miami, DC, Boston, Seattle, Austin, Texas, a lot of it, Colorado. These are just some of the new locations. Would be Nashville and then another New York City office. So Darren says that's a dream come true. Absolutely, I completely agree. I think everyone on planet Earth who invests, I think a lot of people who don't invest are going to want to use it because now, John Doe and Jane Doe might think that the stock market is downtown next to the farmer's market. They might not even know what a stock is. It doesn't matter. They don't have to anymore, right? It's going to render most financial services utterly useless, right? To be quite frank, there are people who actually, we won't necessarily get into that spot of it, but Midas has the ability to completely change the financial driven industry. So James says, what is the difference between robo-advisory and Midas? Midas is it's basically robo-advisory. So robo-advisory is like automated artificial intelligence investing. If by robo-advisory, what you actually are talking about, James, is a trading bot, then let me know because there are definitely major differences between Midas and a trading bot. Those would be two different things. But robo-advisory is essentially automated AI investing. So robo-advisory right now exists at an institutional level. A lot of big banks and hedge funds use automated AI investing. But, the retail investor gets ostracized from participating in those communities because they oftentimes don't even talk to people unless they can put in 50 million minimum and show proof of funds. So at that point, it's really just for the top 1% again. Anyone else out there that does this? Yes, there is, Michael, and we're actually going to get into that here in just a second. Chad says, how do you fund into Midas? Minimum amount to start. So we'll get into all of that. What I do want to be clear with is Midas AI is just a new product that TradeAlgo has released. Midas AI will not be available to the retail, well, I can't say the retail public. It won't be available to the masses for a little while, actually. It's only going to be available to top company shareholders at first, and then we're going to continue to expand out the fund as it grows. So a lot of people are wanting to invest into TradeAlgo's pre-IPO opportunity because as Midas grows, TradeAlgo grows with it, and that gives people the ability to have massive, massive returns on TradeAlgo as it looks to become a publicly traded company. But we'll get into that here in just a second. So Midas, let me go ahead and show you the results. These are the audited Q1 results of Midas, so from January to the end of March. of 2024. Midas has been trading in real time with our own company money, produced a 20% net positive return. You can see right here, 19.9. That is double the performance of the SPY and more than 3 times what the DIA has been able to do. 0 human eyes, 0 human brains, no human intervention. Trading on its own, 20% in 1 quarter. Now, obviously, there will be quarters where it does better. There will be quarters where it does worse. However, let's just go under the presumption that it's doing that 20% per quarter. That is 80% per year. It's like putting in $100,000, and by the end of the year, it's worth 180 grand, and you didn't even look at it. Actually, no, that's not true, because technically compounded 20% quarter over quarter, that would make 100,000 into $207,000. I'm going to crunch the numbers in my head here. So that would actually be like making more than a double. And you're on vacation in Hawaii. You're hanging out with some friends and family members. So how does that not become a $50 to $100 billion publicly traded company? Right now, retail investors around the world have $7 trillion of investable assets. Do you think it's fair to say that 1 out of every 100 investors is going to want to participate in Midas? That's a $700 billion network. Imagine if it was making 5% quarter over quarter, let alone 20. And the way it's revenue sharing for us is we charge 25% of whatever it makes in profit. You can let me know in the chat. If you made a 100% return on the year and you didn't even lift your thumb and you never even looked at the stock market or a chart the entire year, would you pay 25% of that in profit? Or would you say, I'm going to try to do it on my own? Exactly. So imagine where this will be at global levels. Now, Midas AI has the complete ability to change the game. Now, for those of you that are thinking 20% a quarter, there's no way you can maintain that. Seems too good to be true. Actually, I think it was Michael earlier, maybe not, who was saying, let me see, anyone else out there that does this? Yeah, that was Michael. Yes, there are other companies out there that do this. There are other autonomous AI funds. One of them is called BlackRock Bank. I'm sure you're familiar with them. They're a $20 trillion investment bank. There's another one called Citadel down in Miami. They are one of the most successful hedge funds in the history of Wall Street. They have $67 billion in assets under management. And in the year 2022, when the market crashed 22%, they profited $16 billion using AI. It was the most successful year and most profitable year a fund has ever had in the history of Wall Street. During the middle of a crash using AI. There's also a fund called the Medallion Fund. We like to compare ourselves to the Medallion Fund because it is all quantitative and it's all artificial intelligence. So again, for those of you that were saying, would it even be possible to maintain those levels 20% per quarter? The Medallion Fund for the past 35 years has averaged 40% returns per year. And in fact, look at these returns, 40%, 60%, 40%. Its worst performing year ever was a 20% return. In fact, look, I want to zoom in here actually a little bit more. You can see during the dot-com bubble and the financial crisis, so this is when the markets were tanking, it was having some of its most profitable years ever. In fact, during those years, it was averaging about an 80% annual return during bear markets. So yes, this will be able to be continued by Midas, and yes, we plan on it being one of the biggest AI traded funds on planet Earth. This is why people are wanting to make an investment into TradeAlgo right now. Exactly like I said, we are at the bottom of the first inning in this baseball game. Everyone wishes they could have bought shares in Apple right when the iPhone was coming out. Everyone wishes they would have bought shares of Tesla right when they had dropped off 50 cars and the first 50 car owners' garages. Everyone wishes they had bought shares of Netflix when they converted to streaming. You're going to want to buy shares of TradeAlgo now that it has released Midas AI, which has the ability to completely change the game. Because while our competition does perform at excellent rates and levels and has used autonomous AI for 10 to 15 years, again, Good luck investing with a Medallion fund unless you can cut them a $50 million check. Good luck in investing with Citadel unless you have a $100 million wire that you can send over them to tomorrow. It ostracizes everyone. Midas will be for institutions and retail alike. Jamie says two with 100K investment at 80% in 12 months. Well, no, it would be 20% per quarter compounded was the example. So if you were compounding it quarter over quarter, then it would be worth about 208,000. If it wasn't compounded, then it would just be 180,000. Is that an example? So these were AI for 45 years, says James. No, it was AI for about 20 years, and it was quantitative analysis since the beginning. Quantitative analysis was basically humans doing AI for a long time. So it was the same form and fashions. A lot of it was just done by the human eye and brain. And then they switched over to AI, which obviously is just artificial intelligence and machine learning. So then it kind of takes over the human eye and brain, but it was the same processes. So, believe it or not, we're still at the bottom of the first inning of this baseball game. And I want to give a huge shout out to people who believed in us from the very beginning and who were able to make investments even in our first round and were able to see a 1,200% increase on their initial investment. Congratulations. We are actually closing out this round of funding right now. And so people do have a unique, but it is a narrow and it is a small window of opportunity to hop in before we raise the price of the stock. And our next round of funding is going to be more of a $75 million VC focused round. So it'll just be for larger institutional investors. We've now done 3 complete rounds to the retail investor. We wanted to give everyone an ample chance to hop in and give them an opportunity. It's been 2 years. And so now, obviously, in order to scale at massive levels and potentially take that to an offer, you got to start taking larger check sizes so you can start doing larger expansions. So you might be perfectly positioned to make a killing yourself and have a legacy to tell the grandkids for generations to come. So we're one of the fastest growing AI companies in the United States, and we're the only company that has released this level of tech with the in-depth level of data and resources necessary to transform the way public markets are traded. We have exactly what it takes to produce the next AI unicorn company, and we're well on our way there. I know we're going to do it myself. So the question to me personally isn't whether we'll do it, it's just whether you'll join on board in time. And I never say this to be mean or to be rude, but we will do it with or without you. Obviously, you guys are our valued members and our valued previous investors. So we definitely want everyone to participate who also sees the ample opportunity, but we're going to get there no matter what anyways. We would much rather have you on board the cockpit of the Trade Algo rocket ship than not. And what you're seeing right here with the Midas AI business model is the fact that when I say we're at the bottom of the first inning in this 9-inning baseball game, we really are. Right now, Midas AI only trades stocks in the United States. But imagine making an investment in Trade Algo before it becomes a 10, 20, $50 billion US fund. And then we start expanding out to where Midas can trade Forex and crypto and futures and European markets and Asian markets and emerging markets. And suddenly it's $100 billion, a $500 billion, a $1 trillion fund. And the value of the company as it grows and grows and grows. So as mentioned before, we actually were already full in this third round of funding. We filed for a $5 million extension with the SEC, and the reason that we could allow either previous investors or members of Trade Algo to grab some more shares before we go ahead and lock the door, lock the key, and turn off the gates basically from opening forever for this round before it opens up at a higher price and valuation. So we're going to allow a few more investors to, come on board and grab some shares before we do those sorts of things. And given the gravity of the situation and the huge potential upside, a few more people will have the opportunity to participate. So in order to kind of help us close out what's left available, we really are going to be doing something special. Number one, obviously we're expanding even the size of the round because it ended up filling out. So we just filed it for an extension. But we're also, since you guys are our members and previous investors, we're also going to give the opportunity for people to be earning free bonus shares on top of their investment. One second here. Free bonus shares on top of making the investment. So a lot of people already want to make the investment anyways, but hey, you can get some extra free equity, and that's just kind of our way of saying thanks. So since we can only take a limited number of people on board, we do have to accept each person individually to keep up with how much stock is left available. So to apply to invest into Trade Algo, I'm going to post a link and it's going to pop up in the bottom left-hand corner. My arrow drawing ability is not as good as my ability to explain what we do as a company. So you're going to have to bear with me. But you can click on the link and you can apply to make an investment. We have all hands on deck tonight. So someone from the Trade Algo team, whether they're in our New York office or our Vegas office or Los Angeles offices, we will be able to help reach out to you about helping you make the best investment decision you've ever made. And remember, applications will be taken on a first come, first serve basis. So just make sure you hop to it right now. You can click the link in the bottom left-hand corner and we will give another about 5 to 10 minutes, maybe more, just depending on how many questions people have. We can do a little bit of a live Q&A since we're here Monday, June the 17th. It's almost 9 p.m. EST. Make sure no stone gets left unturned. We've already grown from a $0 company to a $375 million company in less than 2 years. We already have the team, the product to market fit, the timing, the existing success to earn your vote of confidence, and we have a clear-cut plan to generate, well, not even a clear-cut plan. We've already released our new and unique financial AI services, spearheaded by Trade GPT, which a lot of you have already probably downloaded on the App Store for iPhone and Android. And then, of course, with Midas AI, which just came out on June the 1st, that could be turning Trade Algo into the next future $100 billion publicly traded mega firm. So if you see the upside potential for AI, right, and you think that finance is the biggest industry on earth, which it is and has been for centuries, then this is definitely not the opportunity that you're going to want to miss. So the link is in the bottom left-hand corner, like I said. It's going to say apply to invest in Trade Algo. So basically what happened is the price of the share was here at 25 cents in the first round, and then it moved to $1 in the second round. Or actually, I'm going to need to be able to do this to scale. So it was 25 cents, and then it moved to $1, and then it moved to $2.95. We're about to reevaluate right here, but again, this is just the beginning because it should be going parabolic much sooner rather than later. Based on our financial projections on the optimistic scenario, investors right now could be looking at anywhere between about a 2 to a 300x multiple. So imagine putting in $100,000 and making, that would be 10 million, actually in between 20 to 30 million. And that is a 200 to 300x multiple. Again, now you see why the wealth gap has been widening so much over the past 3 decades. Now, someone is saying, let's see, lots of questions are coming through. Bottom left-hand corner, everyone go ahead and click on the link real fast. I'm going to give everyone ample opportunity to do that before we go over some of these questions so I can show you guys how to fill out the form. And if someone is not seeing the link, please let me know. But we will wait for just a second. Ed says, who will set up Midas Trading to start out with, you or us? Well, that is something a little bit farther into the future. Again, the reason we're going over Midas is because Midas is kind of like the iPhone or the Tesla Roadster or, you know, Netflix switching to streaming. So that is the ability to really set up our company for success and massive growth. So a lot of people are wanting to invest in the pre-IPO. People just investing into Midas, we will make those announcements once it is ready and available. Right now, it's only for top company shareholders. So that's more stuff. We'll kind of cross those bridges when we get to it. Paul says, what's the minimum investment? Man, I wish people would ask me what's the maximum investment that they could do. The minimum investment's whatever you want it to be. AI, a lot of people like Goldman Sachs and Deutsche Bank just came out and said that AI should be 7 times bigger than the computer revolution. So how much upside do you want to capture in something like that? It would be totally up to you, Paul. It says, where's the link? Yeah, bottom left-hand corner. For some reason, there we go. Ron says, what is the max? There we go. Ron's my type of guy. Well, technically, the maximum at this point, we did the $5 million extension, and we just had a gentleman come in, I think, for 2.3 last week. And then we've had some other people come in with larger investments. I think we have about $2 million that are left. So even if that doesn't fill out, we already filled out our $20 million round. So really, this is just kind of like a thank you and an opportunity to get in before the price jumps is really what it is. Is there minimum? Ed says if we've already invested. People can do whatever they want. We have plenty of people. I mean, people are doing $5 million investments, people are doing $50,000 investments, people are doing more, people are doing less. Everyone's financial situation is different, but I guarantee that you're not going to want to go for the next couple of years just thinking, what if I had done it, even if that's at any level. So I see that there's a ton of forms that are coming in right now. Lots of people clicking on the link, which is awesome. Some of my representatives have already notified me that they are starting to reach out to you guys. So whatever phone number, whatever email that you put in, be on the lookout for a call from either a 332 phone number or a 646 phone number. And I'm going to write those out here real quick. 332 646. Those are New York City phone numbers. There were some people here earlier who someone said they were from the Upper East Side, someone said they were from Long Island, so you probably recognize those area codes. But 332 and 646, that's going to be someone from the Trade Algo team reaching out to you. Be on the lookout. It's not your car's extended warranty. It's not the Prince of Saudi Arabia who wants to be your best friend. That's going to be us here at Trade Algo. So be on the lookout for a call there. I see that some people are already starting to get phone calls right now. We will be reaching out basically first come, first serve in order. And we will help you guys get on board before we shut off the round and before we move the price of the stock and before we become one of the biggest companies on earth. So we definitely appreciate all of your guys' memberships. We definitely appreciate you guys as being previous investors into the company. We wanted to give one last final opportunity and one last final chance to participate. When you guys click on the link before we wrap up here, unless anyone else has more questions, but when you click on the link, it's going to take you to this page. If you scroll all the way down, you can see that it will say select your investor status, and you can fill out the form as either a non-accredited investor or an accredited investor. Everyone is able to participate in this round of funding. It doesn't matter whether you're non-accredited or accredited, but we do have to do certain filing or do have to do certain levels of paperwork and forms and filings based on your level of status of accreditation, and that's SEC rules and regulations. So if you're an accredited investor, that means that you have a net worth of over $1 million or you make more than $200,000 per year. If either one of those applies to you, you can join as an accredited investor. If neither one applies, that is totally fine. Just join as a non-accredited investor. Again, it's all Trade Algo shares. It's all the same price. The only thing that's different is the paperwork we have to do on our end. So help us help you, save us a little bit of time, please. Just fill out whichever one best applies, non-accredited or accredited. Someone says, where is the link? Let me go ahead and post it in the chat. Went ahead and posted it there for you. So you are more than welcome to click on the link in the chat. And Michael says, reserve my seat on the rocket ship. Absolutely, Michael. Welcome on board in advance. Wayne says, are you going to tell us how to get involved with Midas? Wayne, if anybody is here who is considered a top company shareholder of Trade Algo, Midas is immediately available to you. It was released on June the 1st. If you guys are not top shareholders yet, as soon as we release it more to the general public, everybody will be getting a phone call on how to participate. So I'm not totally sure, Wayne, you just have, or actually, I don't believe, Wayne, you are at this point, but I'm happy to go back and have one of my team members check through your profile and maybe give you a call, and we can just kind of follow up and tell you a little bit more about Midas and how it operates. Lots of forms that are coming through, guys, so I actually even have to hop off here because I am going to start reaching out to people. We had almost 400 people register for the presentation, and that I see that 78% of people clicked on the link, so we got a lot of people to give a phone call to. Remember, keep your phone on handy, keep it on ringer. The team here at Trade Algo is big enough that it'll probably, even with all the forms, it'll probably only take about a half hour to get a phone call at maximum, like if you were one of the last people to fill it out. So just be ready and be available. I hope everyone has a fantastic rest of their evening. Take care, stay safe, cheers, enjoy the summer, go out to the lake house, go to the